Yes, thinking about the establishment of the All Wales Forum, we have to sort of go back to the period, 10-year period, 1983 to 93, when we had the All Wales strategy. And one of the purposes of the strategy was to get rid of the long-term institutions like Ely Hospital in Cardiff. It was very important that parents had their input to the decisions that were being made under the strategy. And what was the South Glamorgan Parents Federation, of course, is now the Cardiff and Vale Parents Federation, was established in 1985-86, and I was chair of the federation in 1991 when I was approached by. He was involved with the organisations for people with learning disability, and he said that as the people with learning disabilities themselves had their own All Wales organisation, he thought it was right that the parents should have an All Wales organisation so that they could put their views, parents' views, that is, to the Welsh Government when making decisions regarding the future. At that time, there were a number of organisations like the Parents Federation around the country, but not everywhere. Some of them were small groups, quite well organised. Others were just very informal groups. I'm not sure how we did it, but we organised meetings which usually took place in Mid Wales, to which parents were invited, and we had representatives from the government. I remember Jane Hutt. She came to a couple of these meetings that we had. Arising from this, the All Wales Forum was founded. I was chair of it initially, and for quite a few years, I think, about 7 or 8 years. But that is how the forum started, and the intention was that it would be a parent's voice, which would be necessary to ensure that some of the decisions which were being made in the All Wales strategy, and obviously after that finished as well in 1993, to continue parents' voices being heard when decisions were being made for our sons and daughters.
My family and I have been involved with services for people with learning disabilities for over 40 years now. We've seen huge changes, great progress, especially for children, and it's so lovely to see so many children with disabilities getting a mainstream education. However, for adults, I still think we have an awful long way to go, particularly for adults with severe special needs. I hope that there's still a lot of progress to go for people with learning disabilities. Particularly, I would like to see younger families getting involved with organisations such as the Forum, because we need to band together, because together we're more influential, and we need to be influential not only with our locality, but with our central government. And I would like to see these younger families get involved, because people of my generation, we'd like to feel that somebody would fight for our folk behind us as we fought for the folk who went before us.
I'm delighted to have been asked to help celebrate 30 years of the All Wales Forum of Parents and Carers. In my role as Deputy Minister for Social Services, I'm fully aware of the excellent and the often unheralded work that the All Wales Forum does in supporting, helping and championing the essential role that families and carers undertake. They continue to provide an important authoritative voice for those that need it most. We've come a long way in the last 30 years, helping and supporting individuals to live happy, productive lives as valued members of the community. The AWF have been a significant part of this change, but we realise that there's still much more that can be done. I know that the organisation has played and continues to play a vital role in helping individuals and families as we emerge from the COVID pandemic. And I'm delighted that by supporting the organisation, we are doing what we can to ensure that this work continues into the future. I recently announced the Welsh Government's commitment to a 5-year strategic plan for developing appropriate person-centred learning disability policy. And I will be relying on third sector organisations such as the All Wales Forum and the people they support to help shape these policies. You are the experts by experience, and you have the knowledge and understanding that we need to capture. In the meantime, I hope that some of the policies that we've already announced, such as the recent increases to funding for respite services for carers, championing advocacy and self-advocacy services, co-production and collaboration, will go some way to demonstrating our ongoing commitment to families and to unpaid carers. I look forward to continuing to work alongside the All Wales Forum and wish you every success for the next 30 years. Diolch.
30 years ago, family carers didn't have a voice. Things have improved. Every so often, carers are recognised and honoured for the work that they do. However, not all carers have their needs met or their voices listened to. Decisions about us are still made without us. The extra load the parent carers carry is dismissed by those that should be lightening the load for us. Advocating for ourselves and our children, using our voices, but getting ignored. This is still happening too often. So, in the next 5 years, my hope is that more people become aware of and use the advocacy services that are provided through the Social Services and Wellbeing Act. And that 5 years after that, services are so good and have improved so much with the support they provide for family carers that advocates will no longer be required.
I think one of the great things 30 years on is the fact that legislation, especially in Wales, has started to recognise that importance of the individual voice. And of course, the parents and carers are an integral part of that voice. It's not till I remember, chatting to Pauline about the way things were when she first had her son Matthew and the challenges she had. It brings it home to you just how far and just how much we've moved forward. And although I get frustrated as anybody does, and you think things haven't moved forward or things haven't changed, they do. And we all make a difference, I think, together as organisations. The forum have been an important part of that. And it's really important the forum are able to build on to what the early parents and carers like Pauline and the other advocates for parents and carers, but for many people with learning disabilities who aren't able to advocate for themselves. It's important that those lessons, and it's important that the spirit and that fight is continued into the future. It's important that in 30 years' time, we look at today in 2021 and say, boy, haven't things changed, but changed for the better, not for the worst. It's certainly the most challenging political times in my lifetime that I've been aware of, but they could also be the greatest times ever, because socially and economically, I think we're in a situation where we can't go on thinking about, the way we procure and deliver services the way we used to do. So I really look forward to a strong association with the All Wales Forum of Parents and Carers in uniting the voices of people with learning disabilities along with parents and carers. We might not always come from exactly the same angle, but we're always headed in exactly the same direction. And let's keep on doing that together. Happy 30th birthday to the All Wales Forum of Parents and Carers, and a massive congratulations for everything you've achieved over the last 30 years.
So as a parent carer of a child with quite complex needs, I feel I'm on a bit of a personal mission to support carers. I don't want any carer to feel alone, because I certainly felt alone when I first had my daughter. So I feel on a personal mission to be able to support parent carers with that in particular. And if we can do that together, that would be amazing.
Being part of the All Wales Forum of Parents and Carers for the last 10 years has been a pure privilege for me. As a sibling carer, I grew up alongside my brother, experiencing some of the challenges that he had to live through and watching my parents, especially my mother, fight and advocate for his rights to be included. Over the last 30 years, we've made some steady progress in some areas: the closure of the long-stay institutions, the introduction of community living, such as supported living models, and the introduction of personalised budgets to a degree in the form of direct payments and flexible respite options. However, many of the hurdles and challenges around inclusion still remain for so many families. And one of the strengths of the forum is the peer support it brings and the collective voice to families across Wales who come together and support each other as small and localised groups and also as the national voice. Going forward, what I'd really like to see us be able to do at the forum is to continue to be that collective voice, to continue to pioneer some of the creative ideas that families and community partners come up with. And I'd really like to see people take risk in investing in those ideas and suggestions. So many of them are not about spending huge amounts of money, but about disinvesting in some of the more traditional ways of providing services and investing in some of the more flexible ways that families want to live. If we truly want to see inclusion, then inclusion means flexibility. And that's key for us going forward. So that's my wish for the next 5 years, to see more of the ideas that families create for themselves to become real and meaningful in the community, and for those partners who really want to invest in them to be supported in the organisations that they work in to make them a reality, and for the government legislation that puts carers and the people they support on an equal footing to come to fruition and be a reality for everyone across Wales. There's some real challenges in the social care workforce and the community resources we all share. But I firmly believe that if we do properly come together and co-produce those solutions, we can make a meaningful difference for families going forward. And in 30 years' time, it would be wonderful to be able to look back and see what amazing transitions and changes we all made together.
When our son is getting services that we're pleased with and he's happy, we're happy. And if we're happy, we can just be mum and dad. We don't have to be advocate. We don't have to be champion. We can just love our son and enjoy our time with him.